Great leadership is built on one important rule: taking full responsibility. Whether it is a business, a community, or a professional basketball team, people trust a leader to guide them and stand behind the group. A strong leader gives credit to everyone when things go well, but when things go wrong, they accept the blame instead of making excuses. That is what earns respect and builds trust. But what happens when a coach refuses to take responsibility? What happens when they overlook the obvious mistakes made by experienced players and instead place the blame on a rookie who is already carrying the biggest responsibility on the team? This is WNBA Pro, and today we are taking a close look at one of the most surprising and controversial post-game press conferences of the season. We are breaking down what happened after the Indiana Fever's tough loss to the New York Liberty, focusing on more than just the final score. The biggest story was head coach Stephanie White publicly blaming Caitlin Clark for the offense falling apart while not criticizing Kelsey Mitchell's ball-dominant decisions that slowed the team's momentum. If you want to understand why a team is struggling, you have to pay attention to the message coming from the coach. After the Fever's offense completely broke down in the fourth quarter, reporters asked about what went wrong, but instead of taking responsibility, the response from the coaching staff shifted the focus away from the bigger problems.
Stephanie White, the bonehead, has no idea where to turn, y'all. This lady's punch drunk out there. She's like punch drunk. She don't know what's going on. She don't know what to do. Check this out.
Steph, I see you circling stuff. I'm guessing the free throws will probably be in a circle. Just talk about the game and how that might have difference. You held them to 30% shooting and I think 11% from three, something like that.
Yeah,
By putting the focus on their rookie point guard, the coaching staff changed the story instead of addressing what really happened on the court. Blaming Caitlin Clark for the loss to the New York Liberty ignores the actual game and the way the offense functioned. Clark was the player creating opportunities and trying to run the team, but she was working in a system that often failed to provide proper spacing. The biggest issue with Stephanie White's comments was not only the criticism of Clark, but also the complete lack of attention to Kelsey Mitchell, whose ball-dominant style disrupted the offense. It is time to have an honest and fair discussion about Mitchell's role and the responsibility every player has to help the team succeed. Kelsey Mitchell is an outstanding and talented scorer with the speed and skill to beat defenders and create her own shot. However, relying on isolation offense is a decision that can affect the entire team's performance. When Mitchell moves away from the planned play, ignores screens, and attacks the New York Liberty defense on her own, it disrupts the team's offensive flow and takes everyone else out of the game plan. Every player has a responsibility to follow the system and make decisions that give the team the best chance to succeed.
The ball 97 and a half times before she shoots. That's a momentum killer. Kelsey Mitchell refusing to pass the goddamn ball. That's a momentum killer. Aaliyah Boston, $6 million, can't make a layup. That's a momentum killer. You not calling a single play all game for Caitlin Clark. That's a momentum killer. What we talking about? What we talking about?
stops and we turn it over in a timely manner. And look, their length causes challenges. I mean, we couldn't get C loose very much at all, and we got to do a better job of finding ways to do that.
When the offense turns into repeated one-on-one plays, the point guard loses the ability to control the game, read the defense, and find the best scoring option. Instead of leading the offense, she is left watching from the outside. Even so, Stephanie White did not mention the team's shot selection or the isolation possessions that allowed the New York Liberty defense to recover and stay comfortable. Instead, she focused her criticism on the rookie, who barely had the ball during the most important moments of the game. That approach raises serious questions about the coaching decisions and the message being sent after the loss. How can a coach expect better game management and smarter decisions from a point guard who is not even given the chance to control the ball? It does not make sense to blame the player running the offense when others are not following the game plan. A closer look at the game makes that even more obvious. Whenever Caitlin Clark has the ball, the offensive system around her often fails to provide the support she needs. The pick-and-roll execution has been especially ineffective, with screens arriving too late, poor screen positioning, and role players rarely putting enough pressure on the defense to create open opportunities.
Billings was balling today. Caitlin Clark didn't have the ball in her hands to get Monique Billings shots because Kelsey Mitchell was busy out there jacking up shots nonstop. Why are you not addressing Kelsey Mitchell? Why are you not addressing Kelsey Mitchell? You keep talking about we. Ain't no we. It was one person out there being a damn ball hog. And you talking about, oh, we got to find a way to free up Caitlin Clark. So your idea of freeing up Caitlin Clark is taking her off ball and running her around, which means
a good screen is one of the most important parts of an offense because it helps the ball handler create space and make the right play. When teammates fail to set effective screens, the ball handler is left with very few options, and the offense becomes much easier to defend. Looking at those repeated breakdowns and then placing most of the blame on the point guard instead of addressing the team's lack of discipline and execution shifts attention away from the larger problems and raises serious questions about the coaching decisions. This situation can place a lot of pressure on a young player. Caitlin Clark has a strong understanding of the game, knows how to read defenses, make the right pass, attack the best angles, and control the pace of the offense. However, she's caught in a difficult position. She is expected to be the team's main playmaker, but she is not always given the freedom to fully lead the offense. Instead, she often has to step back while veteran players create their own shots. When those possessions fail against a strong team like the New York Liberty, the criticism ends up falling on Clark, even though she was not always in control of the offense.
But some of them, it's just our team defensive positioning has to be better, and that can take some pressure off to see if we're in the right spots.
Monique, obviously, 9 minutes, 15 points, and felt like much of the game you were kind of dictating inside. Can you just kind of take me through what was working for you tonight?
This team is a joke, man. I'm going to be completely honest with y'all. This team is a joke. They have no idea what they're doing. I mean, it's a travesty.
I got to the cuts, got to the first half especially.
This kind of situation cannot continue for long because every successful team depends on trust between the players and the coaching staff. When a coach publicly criticizes the player trying to run the offense while overlooking the mistakes of others, that trust begins to break down. It can create confusion throughout the team, leaving players like Aaliyah Boston and Lexi Hull unsure whether to stay with the offense led by the point guard or simply stand aside during isolation plays. The New York Liberty did not win the game because of talent alone. They also took advantage of the Indiana Fever's lack of offensive rhythm and consistency. The New York Liberty won because they played as a connected team that trusted each other and stayed committed to their system. Players like Breanna Stewart and Sabrina Ionescu shared the ball, made smart decisions, and relied on teamwork instead of forcing individual plays. The Indiana Fever, on the other hand, hurt themselves with poor offensive discipline and a lack of consistency. Their struggles were made even worse by a coaching approach that failed to accept responsibility and address the team's biggest problems after the game.
The most active on the glass for us. Her cutting was really good. A couple of those opportunities, I felt like she was able to get going to the rim because she got out of screens quickly, or because off the ball she recognized open areas. Got to the cuts. She was solid for us on the defensive end of the floor, and her activity was very good. We talked about it pregame. It's going to be finding her way. She's asked to play a different role than she played, a year ago and 2 seasons ago, and most been a bit like.
The front office now faces an important decision. If the coaching staff continues to weaken the confidence of its young star while avoiding tough conversations with veteran players who are not fully embracing a team-first approach, the situation could become even more difficult. Stephanie White must decide whether to fully commit to a system that runs through Caitlin Clark, expect every player to make smarter shot decisions, and hold everyone to the same standard, or allow someone else to lead the team with a clear and consistent direction. There is no room for half measures when a team is trying to build a championship culture. Every player must put the team first and stay committed to the system because individual play alone will not lead to lasting success. That is the focus of WNBA Pro. We look beyond headlines and post-game comments by studying the game itself, breaking down what happened on the court, pointing out the strengths and weaknesses, and giving our honest analysis. If you enjoy basketball coverage that goes deeper than the usual storylines, be sure to subscribe and join us for the next breakdown.